Oh, well, hello, everybody. Now, this was a pretty easy one. 2017 up for today on celebrating 40 years of Phish. And, it was more obviously about quality than it was quantity this year. And it was great. You still got your Mexico run, still got your annual Dicks, you got your MSG run around New Year's Eve. But then, unfortunately, the entire summer tour, no fall tour, but the entire summer tour basically consisted of just being in New York City at Madison Square Garden. Of course, being the Baker's Dozen. There was a 3-night run at Northerly in Chicago, and then one off nights in Pittsburgh and Dayton. Now, seeing how there was a show in Pittsburgh and a show in Dayton, which are both very doable for me, this was kind of a perfect year, really. I wouldn't mind if they did this every year. I think fans would be happy. Well, okay, maybe fans wouldn't be happy. There were many, many groans that Dick's was basically the only thing that approached the West Coast that year. But yeah, like I said, man, you got Mexico, you got MSG, you got Dick's. I mean, you got a summer tour, like it or not, if it was basically all in one city. And then most all of it was good. Maybe the first night in Chicago, the first couple of nights in Mexico. The year didn't start off with a bang, but Mexico just seems like it's not necessarily always about, hey, these are going to be banging shows. It's just about a great vacation, I guess, I suppose. And there's usually one night that is a great show. And then this year, 2017, it happened to be night number 3. They just unleashed a bunch of Hall of Fame songs. And then there were no shows leading all the way up till July, those 3 nights at Northerly. The first night there, perhaps it was because of the debuts, but night 1 at Northerly was a bit of a dud. Night 2, really strong. And then night 3 was just like okay to good. The Nutter Center probably gets a little bit of a bump because I was there, obviously, but I thought it leaned towards really good. Pittsburgh, completely overlooked, underrated. It was a solid show, actually, leading right into the Baker's Dozen, which ran from July 21st to August 6th. It wasn't 13 straight nights. I know a lot of people, including me, like to say 13 shows and 13 nights. That wasn't necessarily the case. There were many off nights in between. Not in between every show, obviously. And then maybe night 1, perhaps the weakest. And then nights 2 through 13, all good to really good to excellent. Nights 4, 5, and 6, probably the best 3-night run they had there, although it ended really strong. 10 and 11 and 13 also. Those are probably my 6 favorite shows. Maybe not in that order. If I had to put them in order, maybe 4, 10, 5, 6, 13, and 11. 13 had that YEM. The most events aren't planned. And there are some songs that from this run, I still think they carry a lot of weight, which they necessarily don't. Like most events aren't planned. I think it's always okay, but it's not necessarily, it's not a hit every time. And then also it's the Other Page song is one that I really like, but then it's not always strong, including this summer. What is that one? Not Most Events Aren't Planned. The other one that was from like Big Boat or something. I'm drawing a blank on that one. Anyways, that song. I always think it's awesome. Sometimes it's not actually that awesome. Anyways, nights 4, 5, and 6, 10, 11, and 13. That was July 25th, 26th, 28th, August 2nd. Anyways. So, Tube was a big one. I mean, pretty much everything. Wingsuit was another one that I think, like I was saying, a song that made there was a big Caspian night 11. So many things. Then all the individual donut nights and the weird covers. Strawberry Letter 23, one that has stayed with us. Chocolate Rain, however, has not. You Sexy Thing's been around a time or two. The Pink Glaze Night, night 13, most events aren't planned, YEM, like I already mentioned, one of the best. And then Dick's, there was a complete frenzy leading into Dick's. I think the band even put out a statement that year saying something along the lines of don't come without a ticket. We know everything's kind of crazy right now, but I don't know, it didn't help. People still showed up without tickets or whatever. But night 1 really was a big explosion. It was like, here we go. But then maybe, it didn't quite carry over. The next couple of nights, fine, not horrible or anything. And then you get into MSG. The 28th, really good. But then the 30th probably stole the show, like it does a lot of years. But again, the 28th sneaking in there. And then the 31st was the Soul Planet night. Great visual. But then I think people were like, what is this song? I don't know. Mostly in this video, I've been distracted by my hair. It's unfortunate. Doesn't look like hair of a guy that has showered today, and then maybe did some stuff outside and was sweating a lot after sleeping on it all night. You got me. So to recap, yes, like I've said many times, I mean, look, you got Mexico. And then, speaking of dicks, people are a little concerned that with the Festi next year, there will be no dicks. Not the case. Dicks 24 is on. I mean, they had dicks after Magna Ball. No fall tour in 2017. Perhaps next year as well. That may be one problem with the Festi. Phish Festi. All right, guys. Boom. We're out of here. That's 2017. It was really all about the Baker's Dozen, but don't forget, there was also a nice run at Northerly. Dick's had a good run. I'd say MSG was probably after the Baker's Dozen. A big year for MSG. Because then I'd say the MSG run was the next best thing. And then probably Northerly, and then Dick's, and then Mexico, and then Dayton, and then Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh being the worst show of the year, even though it was pretty damn good. All right, boom, we're out of here. I don't know, maybe night one at Northerly might have been the worst show of the year. It was pretty bad. It was just those debuts. The debut. Love is what we are. Oh, that's enough, Trey. All right, enough's enough. Got enough of this love stuff going on here. We don't need another one.